sharing the live stream. Okay. All right, let me just mute this and perfect. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna let everyone in. Here we go. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome.
Happy to see everybody.
Thank you for joining us. All right.
If you wish, go ahead and put into your screen where you are located. Not required, but it's always fun to see where people are located.
In the chat.
There's the video. Okay. Figuring it out here.
You can pop it in the chat. You can say hello. You can add it to your name if you want. I'm Cleo, and I'm in Los Angeles, and I will be moderating and
I can't hear her too.
assisting today with everyone's flow. So welcome, everybody.
And I'm Catherine, and normally I'm in Mallorca, Spain, but today I'm in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
You're in a casino, fess up.
It's true. And David Thomas is there. He's my husband, and he's also here in Valley Forge. We're in the same hotel room. So it looks a little weird behind us, but here we are.
I see in the chat we have Tori and Jackie from East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. John is in Encino, California, my neighbor. Casey is coming to us from Philadelphia. Hello. Haywood, we have from Glenmore, Pennsylvania, and Nancy and John from Gloucester, Massachusetts.
I put your name in. Okay.
Hello. Let's see. Perfect. Haywood, and how do you say your name? Deutsch?
Deutsch.
Deutsch.
Like Diana with a brief sneeze.
Deutsch. Perfect. Hello. Okay, perfect. And as we're getting settled, oh, I see Colin. Hello.
How's it going?
I just want to say to everyone, thank you for joining us, and we'll give everyone a moment to settle in. But yeah, we're excited to be with you today.
That's really wonderful. Wonderful for everyone to be here, to be together. We have this really wonderful program starting with Sheila Magalhaes, who we're always so happy to have do our opening and our closing, and so many words of wisdom in between. And John Corey, who's our special guest. And John has been our special guest in other Sunday TLCs and also has 2 podcasts on the website. The most recent one being about purposeful and inspiring filmmaking. So today he'll be helping us think about the medium of film in terms of the theme of togetherness. And we hope that you will all be very active in the conversation, because it is a very important theme of how we communicate with one another and how we connect with one another these days. So let's go ahead, Cleo.
Oh, I just want to note also, this is our second session on this theme of togetherness. So perhaps you were with us last time, but as we lead into our meditation with Sheila, I just want to plant that in your brains that this is about togetherness today. So I guess I will pass the torch to Sheila if we're ready, and she can get us started. Oh, you're muted at the moment. There we go. Hopefully. Oh, let's see.
I am muted. It'd be nice if everybody is muted except me.
Okay.
Just for this meditation. Yeah. Hi, everyone. There's some really familiar faces, some good old friends, some new friends. Really honored to be here with John, Catherine, Cleo, and this community. David, thank you so much. Let's just move right to it. I'd like to start this practice and introduce it this afternoon's work that we'll do together from the lens of the yogic perspective, which is the work that I do. And so, beginning with arriving, centering, settling, which is really important after whatever it is you had to do to carve out time to be here this afternoon, and just really to set it aside. And whatever's coming forward, whatever's next, any expectations, we'll let them settle down. And the way we can do that is by coming together, togetherness, coming together as a community, just to be and to breathe and to bring our attention into this present moment, which of course starts with a breath. So take a deep breath in and let a long breath out. Good. And do that again. Take a deep breath in and let a long breath or sigh out. And if it's comfortable for you, you can close your eyes or let your gaze be soft, kind of down past the tip of the nose in a way that draws your attention to the inner realms and minimizes distraction from the world around you. So as you settle, feel your seat on your chair. Perhaps you can uncross your legs and let your feet settle down onto the ground, to the earth beneath you. Your hands resting somewhere on your lap or your knees. And if it's comfortable for you, shift your breathing so it's in and out through your nose. And that might make a little bit of a sound. It might even sound like a whisper or a sigh. But we're filtering and lengthening and softening every breath. And using the breath as a tool, as a mindfulness anchor, is a really powerful practice that you can engage with anytime you need to quiet down, to settle in, to quiet the mind, to calm, and settle the nervous system. Ready and open to receive. Take one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. And feel the breath in your body. You don't have to fix it or change it. Just be aware of it, maybe for the first time today. Invoking a sense of gratitude for this precious human life. And tapping into the wisdom of the heart with so much information to share. And after you have a felt sense of that heart and that heartbeat and the fullness of your breath, when you're ready, anytime, you can let your hands rest on your lap or your knees again. Infusing this conversation as we begin with some of the wisdom of the ages and the teachings of what is called Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, a body of work that you might call a roadmap to the practice of yoga, written way, way, way back around 300 BC. An exact date, of course, not really known. And if these teachings are new to you, I just encourage you to open your heart and listen. I really enjoyed John and Catherine's conversation on that podcast from last month Or maybe it was the month before when he said that he and the director and probably the others involved in making the film Forks Over Knives were skeptics. And when you hear the word skeptic, just notice how your body reacts to that, being skeptical. What does that feel like? But over time, and with respect for the wisdom of the doctors and the people that they were working with, he himself began to make some changes, eating in a new way, adapting, noticing changes, how he felt. And how you feel and what you notice can help create change. And I think this is new for practices of any kind. There's resistance to change. Maybe a fear of failure or the judgment of those around us when we are essentially the only fish swimming against the current of cultural conditioning. So as we begin together, this might be a chance for you not only to learn something new, but to remember what you already know. Maybe not in your brain, but in your heart. And sometimes that means we just need to quiet down. So let's quiet down together. The word yoga meaning union, joining, connection, and a reminder that we each have a spark and a light. We don't have to try to be connected. We already are, and we always are. And your essence, your flame, your light touches everyone you come in contact with. And everyone we encounter leaves an indelible mark on our lives, potentially shaping us in profound ways, even in the most unexpected of circumstances. We'll sit and breathe and be still. Slightly adjust your posture so your heart feels like it's lifting, like it's buoyant and free. More space, more room. Maybe the breath is a little deeper. Listen, not just with your brain, not with just your ears, but with your heart. The heart of compassion and love, the heart of connection. And once again, place a hand over your heart and a hand over the belly. These two wisdom places. And I'd like to share with you a really lovely poem by Richard Paul Evans called An Invisible Thread. He says, like a fragile thread, we are connected, bound together by a force unseen. In the tapestry of life, our paths intertwine, weaving a story yet untold. From strangers to friends, from friends to family, our hearts expand with every connection made. For in the end, we are all linked by an invisible thread that binds us together forevermore. Take another deep, full breath in. And as you let that out with a sigh, letting your eyes come open, and hopefully you're in like a gallery view and you can see all of our interconnected friends, people that will learn and listen and hear and absorb this afternoon. Thank you.
Oh, Sheila, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Especially that tapestry thread image is so beautiful. If you maybe could give us the name in the chat of
Will.
that poem so that people can know of it and look at it.
I will. I'll share it with Cleo and she can share that.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, that was a great way to get started. As we move forward, I want to let you know this is meant to be an open conversation, so feel free to write into the chat, raise your hand, jump in. We would love to hear your insights and wisdom. And these monthly Sunday TLC gatherings are intended to be a space where we can grow and build our Living Whole online community.
We're so thrilled to be here with John Corey, who will be focusing our conversation about togetherness on filmmaking. John is a filmmaker known for many films, including, as Sheila mentioned, Forks Over Knives, 2011, Plant Pure Nation, 2015, From Food to Freedom, 2023, Revelations Cafe, 2022, The Mindfulness Movement from 2020 with Deepak Chopra and Jewel, Healing America 2019, Code Blue 2019, and The Engine 2 Rescue with Rip Esselstyn in 2012. And as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we put a second podcast on the Living Whole website that I had with John. And that one is called Living Whole with Inspired and Purposeful Filmmaking. And that has caused a lot of excitement in this group. And so I'm going to just ask John to tell us your story about being an inspired and purposeful filmmaker.
Mhm.
Hello.
Well, I wasn't always inspired and purposeful. I went to Florida State University and went into the Air Force right after I was in ROTC, and I did combat camera for 4 years and got out in 1990. And with another captain, we sold a show to A&E because the Desert Shield was just taking place. It was a 6-month buildup for our invasion of Kuwait, and there was a large interest in how weaponry had evolved. And so we ended up kind of hit the ground running and created something that went 65 hours on military weapons. And then I followed that with Charlton Heston, a show called Secrets of War, which with Thames Television, about spies, espionage, war secrets, and followed that up with Peter Coyote with a series called The Color of War. And it was the first World War II series made in color. So I really kind of pigeoned myself as a sort of a military history documentarian, which was all well and good. I started doing more films in the aughts and more TV specials, and I just happened to have an off chance meeting with Brian Wendell, who was convinced that after going to a number of plant-based seminars, that it was a story that was ripe for telling in documentary form. So I read the China study, and after some convincing, I had been to China, I think by that time, 7 times on other documentaries. and I could really see how we could put that thing together. So we did, and but we planned for success in that I begged him to write a book. We got a great publicist who was Scarlett Johansson's publicist, and he had a lot of connections and got us on. Let's see, we were on Dr. Oz and Bill Maher, Real Time with Bill Maher. And by the time I got to Netflix, the well was primed, and it just kind of took off. A lot of celebrities endorsed it. That always helps for the buzz. And it had a 9-year run on Netflix, and it's been a question or an answer on Jeopardy 3 times now. And there's an assumption that when they write those questions, there's an assumption that people know about it, have heard about it. So that's when we feel like we really, broke through with pop culture. But the driver of the publicity really was Facebook. They just had created the Facebook page where not just individuals, but artists or companies or entertainers and athletes, anybody could have their own page representing a project. And so it was really the driver in growing an email list. Also taking that film around with Rip Esselstyn for a year to Whole Foods markets around the country. So when it did came out, it did come out. It did well, and sold a lot of DVDs. And after that, and then the book was the first of 4 that did really well. And after that, I worked with the people doing the Game Changers and directed some of the scenes and that. But that was year 1 of a 5-year money hunt, and I couldn't hang in there for all of that. But I was really happy to get involved. Oh, and by the way, the Forks Over Knives was answering the question. You usually have to have an angle for these things, and for Forks Over Knives, it was sort of the how. How does it work? Not so much the why or the ethics, but the science. And we had Dr. Campbell as one of our key scientists, and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn as a clinician, a physician. So you had the real world experience, you had the lab experience. Those 2 guys growing up 3 months apart, it was an ideal way to tell that story. After the Game Changers shooting, I got together with Nelson Campbell, Dr. Campbell's son, and he had a vision for a film and a company a nonprofit called Plant Pure. So we put together a film, and the question we wanted to answer was, why don't more people know about the plant-based diet? If it's so wonderful and good, why haven't we heard about it? So we did lots of interesting things, like going undercover in the legislature in Kentucky and showing how difficult it is to get even the most simple bills or statements passed and things like that. But Nelson had a really cool idea, talk about the theme of togetherness. His idea was, and it evolved actually. It evolved during our filmmaking and during our 17 city tour, where we took the film around as we were cutting the final cuts, getting reaction to it. And the idea was, what if we set up a pod in every city? Wouldn't that be nice? Where people could get together, share recipes, share fellowship, share guest speakers, share books they've read or what have you, but just get together and like-minded people supporting each other. And that really took off after the film came out. Netflix took it for a couple of years, and that helped. Over 300 pods were created, not just in our country, but overseas and in Canada. And many cities like Tampa Bay had 3 pods for their, North Town, Midtown, like that. And so that was really special. Over 200,000 people at one point were going to these, local monthly pod meetings. And Nelson's wife, Kim, fabulous chef, fabulous writer. She wrote a number of really, really well-received cookbooks. Some of them, and some of the reviews you can read on Amazon. If people don't like your cookbook, they will tell you. And hers were always well received, and so we had a real sense of community and togetherness. Um, After that, I went on and I helped with the Center of Nutrition Studies and Dr. Campbell's center. They wanted to reboot their certificate of plant-based nutrition. So we went in and reaccomplished lots of the interviews. We upgraded the graphics and just kind of just brought it to a level it hadn't been before, because they're really what's stitched together with lots of some people just like you're recording their presentations on a laptop, looking up their nose. It was really kind of primitive in a way, and we really made it special, and followed that up with creating a new online education program called Food and Sustainability, and that was a real education for me. I got to travel all around the country, meeting with some of the most foremost authors and lecturers and experts on all angles of sustainability, from the oceans and fishing to soil to what to do in grocery stores that have food that hasn't been purchased, and shooting in Harlem, shooting in Dominican Republic, and Miami, Minnesota, San Francisco. It was a wonderful project, and we filmed it. The whole time I filmed it, I filmed the experts looking right into the camera. They were reading off a teleprompter what they had prepared to write. So everybody was relatively polished, and we filmed them in such a way, and that was sort of the value add for the center, was to give them something that they could make into a documentary one day if they wanted. You could take the very best of what these lecturers were saying in their hour 90-minute presentations, which are usually broken into several modules, and we thought you could make a really nice documentary on food and sustainability. But anyway, that hasn't been made yet. But it was the project I'm the most proud of. It just, yeah, I got to with a wonderful graphics artist. She and I just made some really good educational materials. I felt like we kind of like raised the bar a little bit on what you can do with using PowerPoint to originate video. So it was everything originated in the PowerPoint, and then we went to video. We made MOVs of the PowerPoint. So do you want me to keep going, or do we want to open it up?
Thank you. It's a great overview.
It's a long, winding road.
Yeah, and a great overview. And I'll just mention that on the Living Whole website, you can see a 30-minute conversation between Nelson, the oldest son of Colin Campbell, and Colin. So you can look that up. We have 5 or 6 recipes that Kim Campbell has gifted to us, that where you can cook alongside her, and her food is amazing. And then the Food and Sustainability Certificate Program at the Center for Nutrition Studies is kind of the brainchild of Stephen Disla, who is the grandson of Colin Campbell. And he was our special guest in November. So you can go back through our archived Sunday TLCs and spend some time with Stephen. His presentation is very powerful in terms of helping us understand the connection between what we eat and the impact that we have on the planet. And Stephen's mother, Leanne, who is Colin's daughter, is now the president of the Center for Nutrition Studies, and she was our special guest in January. So you can go back and listen to her wisdom as well. So what John has done over these 12, 15 years is work with this really interesting group of people that have influenced untold numbers of people, including David and me, including my way of practicing medicine. And also influenced, John, your life and the life of how your family feeds itself, and your mother-in-law, Bev. Do you want to mention a little bit about her?
Okay, so I think it was month 3 of production. It was 2009, and my mother-in-law, who I've always been close with, was curious what I was up to, and I told her I was doing a documentary about the plant-based diet. And I really didn't say much more than that, but on her own, she went and did a deep dive and, kind of read Dr. Campbell's book. And she got back to me about 2 months later. She goes, I've been doing it. I've dropped everything but dairy. And she goes, I feel so much better. And then when she finally dropped the dairy, she mentioned that she said, well, she was 80 at the time, and that summer we went to Africa, and she took all of her three kids and her grandkids and all of us. There were 11 of us in total, and she was running around those safaris as she's sort of the leader of the pack. And she said, I didn't know, I thought I was just getting old. I didn't know I had another gear. I'll never forget that, but it was transformative for her. She lived another 13 years in perfect health, just about. And before she passed in 93, but 8 months before doing so, we were in Greece, and she climbed the steps of the Acropolis. You know, uh, just amazing. So I felt like it gave her a new lease on life that she might not have had otherwise. And her daughter, my wife Patty, has adopted that way of eating for our family, and it was a transition. Glad we did it. I'm going for a routine procedure on Wednesday, and for my pre-op, I had to answer all the questions, and it's almost silly. I find it all laughable. But it's like no, 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 no. I don't have any ailments. I don't take any medications. I don't. Blood pressure is 115 over 71. Cholesterol was 150, and I it's something you become more proud of the more you go back. Like David, you just went back for a reunion, and you can kind of see people living out the choices they've made. I'm just so happy that I was asked to come on board that project a long time ago, and to be able to sort of share this it's too good to be true message with people. And it's trying to get them, trying to meet people where they are, trying to respect them. And with Forks Over Knives, we didn't really say you got to do this, but we left a lot of people saying, I'll give it a shot. You kind of let them make the decision at the end. If you don't bend, if you don't try to feel like their arm is if people don't feel like their arm is being twisted, they're more likely to along. Nelson wanted to do a project, so we worked together again in 20, I think it was 2022 maybe. The idea was, what if, and we're looking at this film looked at, it was called From Food to Freedom, and it looked at diabetes and diabetes medication, and it's a big business. I mean, there's a whole magazine for people that have diabetes. The numbers are staggering. It's close to 20 million Americans are affected. They're either pre-diabetic or diabetic, and it's a big business for the people that are giving them sort of the daily medication. So the question was, what if we took 10 people and put them in an Airbnb with a doctor and two chefs, and what could we accomplish in 10 days? And it was really interesting to see how that came out. It was about an hour. The first cut was an hour, and I asked that we go back and revisit those people that had been in the house, because I was more interested in seeing, because by now you're almost you kind of know what's going to happen, but I really wanted to know what happens when these people go back to their real lives. So we raised another, I think, $25,000, and we were able to go out and film that. And that to me is the most important part of that film, is seeing how some people it's life changing. For some people, no matter what, their taste buds will kind of lead them astray. So it also, that was post pandemic, and we did try to talk about how we had that opportunity during the pandemic to assess why people were dying from COVID, and to do something about it. And the fact is that over 90% of the people that did pass were from pre-existing conditions, and most of them chronic, and because they were diet and lifestyle related, you know. And so but it's a message that as a country we just it was nobody wanted to say it, but yet I remember reading a study during this pandemic. I think it came out in May of 2020 out of Italy that said just that. They were finding that it was chronic conditions were the leading driver. So people that were relatively healthy weren't necessarily passing away. So, so we tackled that. We did have some issues when we created some trailers for that film, and we were shut down by YouTube and shut down by Facebook, and we don't know why, but our trailer had an anti-big pharma message to it. So we simply just put it on YouTube and let it run. So that was just sort of a lesson. But you know, a lot has changed in all these years. I think the 90-minute documentary, it's not the audience. Well, the buyers for that aren't what they used to be. Typically, if you've made a documentary, it's not necessarily going to be well received like it used to be at Netflix when they're looking for programming. They would rather work with you if they do it. They'd rather work with you, control it, and own it, and have editorial control over it. And I don't think people's attention spans are as long as they used to be. Where people are on YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, TikTok, Instagram. Strolling is a form of entertainment now, where you've got 5 seconds to make an impression on somebody, or they're off. They're scrolling up for the next dopamine hit. So messages these days have to be more compartmentalized. They've got to be shorter, and you've got to make your point much quicker. I've noticed for the last couple of years, I've been working with the school in Tarpon Springs. It's a Solid Rock Community School run by their founder, Michelle Fosnot, who has one of the most incredible turnaround stories I've ever heard. And I just I met her in 2017. I just an offhand comment. If you ever want to tell your story, I would love to help you, because it was she had MS and so many other conditions she was dealing with while trying to run a school. And she came across a video that showed how baby calves are treated and taken away from their mothers, and she was a vegetarian, but she was a cheeseaholic. And that one video got her to change her diet, and within 3 days she could feel her legs again. This is a woman who was considering a suicide. There's a group of people that will support you if you're doing it because you're in so much pain. She ended up, her whole life turned around just on that one simple dietary change. So she reached out to me and she said, I'm running the school. We're one of 2 schools in the country. We have a plant-based chef. We have a farm sanctuary. We've got all this wonderful stuff going on. And so I've been going there monthly, shooting promos for the school, but at the same time prepping for a documentary about her life in the school. In the meantime, we produced 65 episodes of a podcast for her. So I've learned a whole lot. They converted a whole classroom into a studio where the kids do a morning show. And then there's a studio where she has lots of guests on her podcast. We've had a lot of the usual suspects like Dr. Michael Clapper, Dr. Colin Campbell, Michael Greger, and Heisman Trophy Award winner Charlie Ward. Lots of people that have a high profile have been on our show, either by way of a Zoom type style interview or in person in the studio. And then we were also encouraged with the company that was helping us called Get More Listeners Academy. They were advising us on sort of the best practices on finding an audience for a podcast, and they encouraged Michelle to create episodes on her own, just speaking to the camera, speaking her mind. Those are what we call the straight talk episodes of the podcast. It's called Plant the Change on YouTube. And her expertise is in education and compassionate, humane education. That's something she's sort of licensed, and she's helping other schools practice the tenets of compassionate, humane education. we those episodes where she just speaks her mind, they're the longer guested episodes are 20, 35 minutes usually around that. The shorter ones, the solo episodes, are only 12 minutes or so, but they're the ones that are getting the biggest numbers. She has one on redefining what the notion of smart is. And I think she's up to 17,000 views. And in a town like Tampa Bay, that's really good. But she's hoping to reach a larger audience. So we've begun shooting her documentary with the that we intend to launch on the local PBS in Tampa Bay, and then going on to the national PBS after that. With the film, the mindfulness movement, I was working on that in 2019 and 2020, helping promote that and to get it out. And my partner on that, it was his idea. He wanted to make his own sort of forks over knives. He and I had done a lot of the military shows together back in the day, and he we had this particular film with Deepak Chopra and Jewel ready to go. We had 57 cities lined up. Deepak Chopra, we had at a theater and a premiere set in New York City. Deepak Chopra was going to go on the Today Show the next day. It was a Thursday night premiere, a Friday night, and then that weekend we were going to start rolling out the film a la Forks Over Knives. And a month earlier, the pandemic hit, so it was kind of the worst timing you can imagine. So everything had to be canceled. Rob didn't really know what to do with the film. He tried a digital release during the pandemic, but a couple of years later, maybe 3 years later, he was able to raise some funding and get it on PBS. And so that film has been seen all over the country on PBS. And that's sort of the model for this film I'm making now, for based on the life of Michelle Fosnot. She was not only she had a really tough childhood, and she had to battle bullying and lots of personal problems growing up, and she really needed a school like she's created herself. And she also overcame a lot of her personal health issues to create something really special. So it's going to be an hour-long doc. We think it's really made for PBS, and again, a shorter documentary, but a different audience. And so we'll see how that goes. You know, with packaging her story, if you will. Ultimately, she would love to have more help with moving her rather large animal sanctuary, which is 2 miles down the road, onto the campus of the school. So it's an expensive project. So she's hoping that with more visibility, the right people will help come along and come alongside her. And so that's her goal. So that's what I've been working on lately. And then the newest thing is that, well, it's not new, but we've been working on it for such a long time. But I was able to, Nelson Campbell and I were able to secure the services of the writer of The Sting and Sleepless in Seattle and a number of other movies, Major League. He's a renowned director and A-list writer. David Ward wrote a fantastic script based on the life of Dr. Campbell. A lot of people don't know his personal journey story, so we've got it with the producer now, and it's the same old thing, just packaging. The studios want to see your cast and your funding. They want it all ready to go. They used to get involved in that. Now they expect you to do it all. But that's something I would really love to see get going. It would be sort of a different. We're hoping it would be a mile marker. Like it seems like in our if you call it a movement, there have been these media moments. The Diet for a New America by John Robbins was a moment. Dr. Campbell's book, The China Study, was a moment. Forks Over Knives, The Game Changers, so many wonderful documentaries have kind of helped, and books and TV shows and magazines. These all give us a sense of community, and documentaries in particular are helpful because you can share those with other people. You can't share a book with somebody, but you can share a documentary. You can talk about it afterwards. These are all milestones, and they've kind of helped move the needle, if you will. And we're hoping that Dr. Campbell, it's simply called Dr. Campbell. We'll probably find a better name by then. But we're hoping that will be an opportunity for people that don't, that might not otherwise watch it, but that might not watch a documentary, might watch a dramatic film. So continue to work on that. So it would be the first dramatic film that has the plant-based diet or someone who advocates for the plant-based diet as a principal protagonist.
Thank you, John. Does anyone have any questions for John at this moment?
I do. John, my name's John. And I have a comment first. Hearing your story, which is fascinating, what I kind of heard is you had done a lot of military-based work and maybe were someone open to good stories. And when your partner brought this idea that led to Forks Over Knives, that really created a shift for you. A little while ago, you used the term movement. So do you kind of view yourself now as somebody who really wants to be creating things that have a movement, or they're in that genre of personal growth and betterment?
Yeah. That that's what's been paying the bills for the last 10, 15 years.
Well, it sounds like that's where the passion kind of is too, and so I commend you on that.
Yeah.
And then
Well, I was invited to go on a cruise ship, what do they call it? The plant-based cruise, or it goes out of Miami every March or something. I forget the name of it. I'm sure some of you people have been on it, but I was invited on that to do a Q&A with Dr. Campbell, and that to me was the first time. Well, you going to these I've gone to a number of conventions, one with Catherine, and where it's either this I'm not thinking of the names of them correctly, but the lifestyle medicine conference and other plant-based conferences, and you get a sense of real community. And then when it's over, you feel like, oh, it was so nice to be around all those people. Everybody was so chill, and and on this cruise ship, it was interesting because a third of the passengers are plant-based, and then the other 2/3 were mostly from Eastern Europe. And you could tell the people that were from Eastern Europe just by looking at them. And you could tell the people that were motivated by diet and lifestyle and positive diet and lifestyle changes. So that was a really fun week. And then we have the what do we call them here? The plant fests and the veg fests and those types of things. We have one here in LA. I've been to the last several veg fests in Tampa. And that's again, you get a weekend of community, but then it's kind of gone. And wouldn't it be nice if you could have more? You could have more of those. Why can't Veg Fest be 4 times a year? But so yeah, that it's fun to be out there and and get feedback from people that may have seen a film you've done or something like that. That's always fun.
Well, thank you. And just one other question. I was writing a note, so I'd remember to ask you if you got pushback as you started saying your trailers got taken down. So I wanted to ask, did you ever feel almost a pushback threat from anyone from maybe the meat industry or dairy, or you mentioned pharmaceuticals? Did that ever get uncomfortable in any way?
Well, we've had every reason to be paranoid, but we haven't been. But I can tell you that the state senator who advocated the plant-based diet in our film Plant Pure Nation, they ran him out of town, and they ran the speaker out of town
In Kentucky, right?
in Kentucky. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that video.
yeah. So it was the retribution was swift and certain.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
One of the things we're hoping that the growing Living Whole community will do is create a togetherness movement that in between these opportunities that we have to be together and feel so good, whether it's at a conference or on a cruise or something else, we have this chance to support one another. Because as John, as you're so eloquently pointing out, there are a lot of forces that are driven by economics that are counter to health, counter to the health of people, counter to the health of the planet, counter to the health of animals, counter to ethics. And it can feel lonely. So being able to be in this environment where we can share with each other helps ease some of that loneliness.
Yeah, I feel like there is a sense of disappointment with a lot of people that I talk to, because I feel like I became part of I became part of this where I was able to have relationships with a lot of thought leaders and influencers in this in the plant-based realm, if you will. And there's real disappointment out there that the momentum has been lost. Some of it due to the pandemic. For me personally, really disappointed in the Maha movement. I was saying this earlier before we started, but when Michelle Obama planted a garden in the White House back lawn, on the White House back lawn, she was ridiculed by a lot of people, by the mainstream media, on or rather the right stream media, and for doing that and being no and being teased about wanting to create a nanny state where we're going to tell you what to eat. Well, along comes this second term with the Trump administration, and you've got Dr. Oz and Kennedy and pushing for the Make America Healthy Again, and then they introduce this new food pyramid, and they get one part right about eat real foods, real whole foods. Great. At the same time, they're saying eat raw milk and have meat, and the same back to the meat protein. So you feel like it was two steps forward, two steps back for me. So there's a real disappointment there. It's nice that the idea of health is back on the agenda, and anybody looking at the budget and what our country is spending on healthcare and Medicare and Medicaid, it's a lot of the cost could be reduced substantially if more people were paying attention and following a healthier diet and lifestyle like we advocate for. So it's something, it's unsustainable, and something's going to have to give with the budget deficit every year. So it's the answer to so many problems. It's such a simple thing, and simple. You can tell somebody how to do the plant-based diet in about a half an hour, but they just have to go practice it for a few years, and only after a couple of weeks are they going to feel better about it. So you think it's an easy sell, but I found that it isn't. And I've just found a number of examples of people that tried it, liked it, and people in my family, in my family back in Florida. They tried it, they liked it, they were really happy about the way things were going, but they didn't stay with it, and then they're back to the way things were. And you can live your last 15 years in health, or you can live your last 15 years in managing symptoms and medications, and it's just to me it's such a no-brainer. You would think it's an easy thing to sell, and it just isn't, because of what the just sort of the status quo, the way everything is, drive the foods we eat, and the acceptance of people my age. I'm 64. That most people I know, when I go back home to Florida, most people my age are on two or more medications, and it's just the way it's just accepted. It's the way it is. Everybody, we're all. It's kind of like I'm okay, you're okay. We're all in this together, and we love our barbecue, and we love this, and just such few. And the beauty of Kim's cookbook, when I was in Florida doing doing a project for Florida State. I got to live with my mother-in-law for long periods at a time, and she would cook out of Kim Campbell's and the Forks Over Knives cookbook as well. And just the you there are if you look this out, you know, but I don't know. It can be very frustrating to me and to others to see that. However, encouraging when the menus are changing and there are a lot more choices. And but just last week when I don't know if it was Stephen Miller in the Trump administration, where somebody was criticizing the Democratic senator that's running for the Senate seat in Texas, and the big put down was he was a vegan. And look, since when did that become like something you lead with, that he's a vegan? As if let's look at the health of your average vegan, look at the health of your average non-vegan. You know, so it can be really discouraging. There's no doubt about it.
David and I had the privilege and joy of meeting your mother-in-law when she was 90, and your whole family came over to Barcelona, and we went over and shared Thanksgiving dinner with you, which was in a fish restaurant, but we had them make vegan paellas for all of us. And she was a powerhouse. And we have on the website, another thing to look for on the website is this little 5-minute clip from John's film called Revelations Cafe. And it's just 5 minutes of Bev telling her story. And one of the most memorable things about that clip is she has you, the filmmakers, go in to visit some friends of hers in a nursing home. And you see people holding out their hands with a whole lot of pills on their hands. And she says something like, they think I'm weird to eat the way that I eat, and I think they're weird to eat the way that they're eating. It's such a beautiful little encapsulation of the choices that we make as we age.
Yeah.
Anyone else have some questions for John?
First of all, that was a really very interesting. It's so great to hear the behind the scenes journey of your creating these films, and it's very, very powerful. You're very inspiring. So the question I had was, you said that there were some on YouTube, I believe, some videos of a woman that were very powerful, and I can't remember the name of that person.
You're talking about Michelle Fosnot?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The name of the podcast is called Plant the Change.
Plan to change. Okay.
Plant the
Okay.
Change,
Great.
Michelle Fosnat, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
We shot and edited 65 of them, and we release one a week. And usually it's 2 guests and then a straight talk. 2 guests
Okay.
and straight talk. So
Great. Thank you.
Casey, you're trying to call in. Is your audio working? It seems like it's not. You want to type what your
Yeah.
thoughts are?
If you want to write a message in the chat, we'll read it out for you.
While Casey's typing, does anyone else have a question?
I just wanted to hear once again, I loved that a description that you said, John, about 3 of the films out of the many films that you did. Each of them answered the 3 that each of them answered a question. The Forks Over Knives was what's the science? Is that how you describe that? And then Plant Pure Nation answered the question, why don't more people do this? Even though it seems so obvious. And then from Food to Freedom, was that, I'm just curious what you had said. What can we accomplish, or what was your why for that?
Well, what Food to Freedom showed was that in 10 days, you can get off most of your medications, if not all.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw that on YouTube.
And then, so the question there was sort of like, what would happen if? Because it's
What would
almost
happen if?
it's almost a fantasy of mine. If I could get, I'm from a large family. I'm seven of nine kids. And if I could get all my family together in one house for a week and just feed them nothing but plant-based, delicious foods. Kim Campbell was one of the two chefs, and her food's fantastic. They would feel better, and they would be able to, with the doctor there checking their vitals every day, they would be able to see in 10 days what a difference they can make simply by changing the foods that they eat. So yeah, every film begins with a question. With the Game Changers, it was, um, the men need to eat meat to make muscles. To
Yeah.
you know, is meat, if meat is so macho, why is it that people that athletes that don't eat it and are more plant-based, like Chris Paul, the basketball player, why are they thriving, especially in endurance sports? So sort of to combat that prejudice, if you will, that vegans are wimpy and tree hugging, liberals and all of that. And for me, my thing when I'm with people that aren't like-minded and they ask, I just say, I don't like to get into discussions. I feel like I've had too many dinner time discussions taken over by some of the projects I've done, and I try to just say, it just doesn't agree with it doesn't, that meat doesn't agree with me, or I just kind of, because I'd rather just not have to get into long discussions about it. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And Game Changers also, I have a teacher who we do a retreat each summer at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. And during that time, and I've been working with her for over 10 years, maybe longer, going to these retreats, we watch documentaries at night. That's what we do. And it's just, I've seen your work and others like it, and maybe things that you've been involved in and I didn't know. But they're very powerful, and they do create great conversations. Like if people watch the movie and talk about it, that would be a good dinner conversation rather than me trying to tell people why I've decided not to eat meat. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that's why it's such a great medium.
Yeah.
Revelations Cafe was about my buddy from high school. I saw he was opening a plant-based restaurant. I couldn't believe it. Hadn't talked to him in almost 40 years. So I direct messaged him on Facebook, I guess. And I say, hey, Robbie, I see you're opening a restaurant. I'm in town in a couple of weeks. I'd love to come by and check it out. So I went by and met up with him and heard his story. And he had fallen in, he had he was a big bodybuilder, really into fitness and everything. And but he had fallen, he had injured his back severely and fell into a cycle of painkillers and what that led to, and kind of lost everything. And at the Salvation Army, ends up meeting his future wife, and it's just this amazing sort of turnaround story. And they decided to open up a plant-based cafe, and they're also strong Christians and wanted to create sort of a place where people could come and so it was a faith-based, plant-based message, really kind of finely tuned. And so that was more biographical. But 3 months before they opened the restaurant, I want to say, I'm forgetting his age at the time, but he's 64 now. This was about 5 years ago, so maybe 59. He had a heart attack, and they had to have stents put in, and that was and he was going along with the plant-based thing to kind of appease his wife, who was more plant-based and wanted to create this cafe. And so he loved the idea of helping her, supporting her, but he didn't want to go all the way with the diet. Well, that event triggered things for him. So a tough film to kind of get out to the mainstream, because it is sort of finely tuned. But they also were looking for a way to tell their story, so that they didn't have to tell it every time. So their restaurant is literally between two mega churches in Tampa, and and they've got the lots of trees around. It's really, you can drive by it 30 times and not notice it if you're not careful. So they wanted to help get the word out, and so they have a film that they can do it, and they put it up on YouTube, and so people can see it there, and that's what's happened to a number of films, because there are so many people on that channel. So
I just wanted to jump in for a second. I know that we're sort of running out of time, so we only have a few more minutes, unfortunately. But I saw a very juicy question in the chat from Casey that I wanted to read out. So it says, sorry for the quick typing. There's a quote by Tolstoy: as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will always be battlefields. That quote really struck me. And with your background in combat filming, I was wondering how you feel about that quote. Also, has there maybe been any time in your plant-based filming that you saw the opposite? Meaning, have there been times where you've seen better harmony with how we treat animals, rippling out to also reflect that the community treats its people better?
I'm
So
not
any
sure if
thoughts?
my audio is working.
Oh,
Yeah. Hi.
now here we
So that
go.
that was
Okay.
my I just when you first mentioned your background, my brain immediately jumped to that quote, and I don't mean to, if you've never heard of it, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I was just really curious how that resonates with you. And on a more positive note, have you ever seen the opposite where, there's better treatment to animals and you even see it, you see it leading to better treatment to people?
right. Um, I got a really good introduction to the animal rights message and movement, if you will, we visited Gene Bauer when up in Watkins Glen, upstate New York, when we were filming Forks Over Knives. And it was a big debate in the office. We put together, when you're making these films, you usually have a bullpen, and you've got 5 or 6 key people, and plotting out what you want to do, and then it becomes a journey of discovery. And one of the big debates was, do we enter the we were trying to stick with the science, but we wanted to tip our hat to some people that might embrace the film from an animal rights and ethics point of view. And so we included Gene Bauer, and I have a lot of regard for him and what he's done with Jon Stewart and his books and things like that. Most recently, I think having guests on Michelle's podcast to talk about that issue. Shannon Blair is an activist, a vegan activist who talks about what it's like to go to these pig farms where thousands of pigs are gassed every day, and what it's like to see the trucks pulling in and things like that. So it's very powerful stories. They resonate with me. But I have to say, I've probably seen more combat camera footage than most people, having been in the military, where the archives were located, and where my squadron was in Southern California, and then getting out and creating one of the world's largest private military archives, because we made about 150 military docs an hour each. Every doc you make, you've got to pull about 30 films from the National Archives or from the military archives, and I've just seen the worst of the worst. And so yeah, it's a fair equivalency, if you would, the slaughter that's going on, and the numbers are mind-boggling.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Casey, for that very thoughtful question. Thank you, everyone, for this really beautiful time. It's clear that we could probably spend the next 5 hours together continuing this conversation. John, it's always wonderful to be with you. Thank you for your gifts, for your time, for all the gifts you've given all of us over the years. And I know that there are some budding filmmakers in the group here. So is it okay offline if somebody might want to reach out to you for a little bit of advice? Would that be okay?
Oh, absolutely. Also, there's a new film coming out June 5th Woody Harrelson narrates. It's called Groundswell, and it seems to be about food and sustainability. So maybe that's another, mile marker.
I just dropped the link to the trailer in the chat.
Thank
Thank you, Cleo, for that.
Yeah, so thank you all so much. That was a very wise and inspiring conversation, and it's great to hear everyone's point of view and all these excellent questions coming up. Oh, I see Colin saying having some technical difficulties, but thank you so much, John. What a wonderful conversation. We have a thank you from John Drennan as well. So this is fantastic. In the interest of time, I just want to say, give you a sense of what is coming up here at Living Whole Online before we move to our closing with Sheila. So to highlight some of what you can look forward to coming down the pike, we have a series of new podcasts that Catherine has been recording lately called Living Whole with ... And these are a chance for us to continue exploring what it means to be living whole. So today, in celebration of having John Corey with us, helping us focus on the power of film, we feature Colin Evans' podcast with Catherine called Living Whole with Grief, Loss, Addiction, and Filmmaking. Hopefully some of you received that in our newsletter earlier, and if not, you'll be able to find it on the website. Colin, it's wonderful to have you and your family members with us today. Also, Neil Barnard's powerful song, Marie Osmole, is particularly timely during this moment in history. And you may wish to enroll in Derek Notman's TL series that's coming up on Jinshin Jitsu and schedule a private personalized session with him. We have a Japanese ink painting colleague, Talia Lahavi, who has a TL series coming up on painting wildflowers, which is a gorgeous experience with art and meditation. And during our Sunday TLC on June 28th, so the next time we meet, author and therapist Lori Seymour will be our special guest, and her podcast with Catherine will appear on that day. That's called Living Whole with Unconditional Remembrance, Your Connection to Source. And lastly, we want to mention an exciting save the date coming up. June of next year, June 6th to 11th, 2027, we'll be hosting and offering a Living Whole immersion retreat hosted by Linfield University in Oregon. So as much as we love these webinars being together online, what we really wish for is to be together in person. This is going to be the first one since the pandemic. Linfield University is about an hour from Portland, and there will be information coming on the website soon. But in the meantime, put those dates in your calendar. So June of next year, 6th to 11th, 2027. And there will be many more surprises as well coming at Living Whole Online. I'm putting this info here in the chat. If anyone has questions about the retreat, please let us know. And Catherine, I will pass to you.
Just want to thank everyone for participating in this lovely TLC gathering. One of our main reasons for creating Living Whole Online is so that we can meet together and have these conversations. And for now, our main ways of doing so are through these monthly Sunday TLCs. And then we have a number of possibilities in addition to the Linfield one for in-person retreats and workshops coming up over the next year. So Cleo writes a gorgeous letter every single Sunday that can show up in your email. And so if you want to receive that, please make a note in the chat and Cleo will make sure that you receive her gorgeous writing. So now let's turn to Sheila and our closing.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, John, for that wonderful conversation, sparking inspiration, and this community and this group. I think another reminder I feel really humbled right now I'm going to be doing some yoga. So there's so many incredible things happening within Living Whole Online, and so this is just a little piece of it, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So a lot of you have been with me before, so we'll just go. It is meant to be a time of integration and some quiet time to let things settle, that things you've heard. Probably you have questions, things rattling around in your brain that you want to explore. And so we'll take this time just to let all of that kind of marinate in a way, and perhaps it will help us to move forward in our own creative, powerful, important ways as well. Simple ways and powerful ways. I always say that the work that we do impacts people in ways that you can see and will never see. So let's come together in your seat. The kind of yoga that we do after these sessions is in the chair. So what I usually do is I get to the edge of the chair, so I'm away from the armrests, and I can put my feet on the floor. So I invite you to do that if that feels okay for you. And our posture and our breath is a big part of the practice. So lift your shoulders up to your ears and roll them back and slide them down. Good. Do that again. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, back and down. And one more time. Inhale up, back, and a sigh, down. Good job. And then again, the hands are resting somewhere on the lap or the knees. Your eyes can close. I will lead you, guide you in a way that I can use my words. Sneak a peek if you have to. And press the crown of your head up towards the sky, as though there were a thread drawing the crown up towards the heavens. Feel your feet resting on the earth, and maybe even a sense of this connection, this wonderful electromagnetic connection to the earth beneath us and the space around us. Connecting to your light, to your essence. Feel or imagine your breath connecting to that light within. And feel or imagine the light pouring from your heart to the hearts of everyone in this session today. And the light shining from your heart, shining out through your windows of your home, out into the world, offering a sweet blessing of love, resting like a soft blanket or that gorgeous tapestry of peace upon the earth. And remembering that our choices do matter. Taking another deep breath in. When you exhale, let your head just tip down so your chin rests towards the hollow of your throat. And feel the gentle stretch down the neck and across your shoulders. And the head's hanging heavy. Then lift your head up as though you were looking straight ahead and square your shoulders back. And turn to look over your right shoulder, just turning your head and looking out of the corners of your eyes. And turn to the left and looking out of the corners of your eyes. And come back to the middle and drop your head down, chin to chest, and take your hands and lace them behind the back of the head and tuck your chin and lean forward just a little bit. Drawing the chin into the hollow of the throat, a soft curve in the spine, allowing anything heavy on your shoulders to just fall away. Then lift your head up and let your head drop back into your hands, still laced behind your head and arching back like there was a comfy, cozy couch and you're opening the heart. Looking forward and stretch your arms out into a wide V. And then turn your hands, your wrists, your fingers. Good. Nice. And take your fingertips to your shoulders And roll your elbows in a circular motion, bringing movement into the joints. In a yoga practice, we go through the whole body, bringing in that lubrication, fresh blood supply, range of motion that just makes you feel better. Go in the opposite direction a couple times if that feels all right. Good. Good. And then reach your arms way up high and take a hold of your right wrist with your left hand and lean across and over to the side like a morning stretch with a yawn. And then the other side, inhale up and take your wrist and just give a tug across and over. Nice. And then back to the center and palms down, lower your arms down, down, down alongside your body or your chair. Then turn your palms up and inhale, bringing in that fresh breath, oxygen and energy, love and light. Exhale, feeling the space around you as you drop your hands, your arms. And inhale, feel the air in the palms, then rise up again. And the air moving through your fingers. Exhale down. We call these sun breaths. All the way down. One more time. Inhaling, reach and rise and lift. Good. Exhaling, bring those hands down. Put your right hand on your lap or your knee. Turn the left arm up, and then we'll lift it up and go even further over to the side than you did before. Breathing into the rib cage, breathing into the spaces between the ribs. Inhale, bring your arm up. We're connecting breath and movement. Go to the other side, up and across. Excellent. Good, and then reach those arms out to T. Turn your palms to face forward. Bring your hands together, laced, and flip the palms towards your screen, away from you. Yeah. And lift your arms up. Good, and just do a little bit of a side to side stretch. Good. Feeling the long line of the spine, that central line of communication, information, sensation. Come to center, press your feet down, draw your belly in slightly, open the arms, and then wrap them around yourself like a great big hug. Yeah, and tuck your chin and curl down, curling in, feeling the space behind your heart, said to be the cradle of the heart. And then inhale, come back up and let your hands come down and then shake them out. Shake them out like you're just shaking off some stuff. Any worries, any concerns, cares, just let it go. Let it go. Good job. And then let your hands rest once again on your lap or your knees, but give your knees a little rub, a little love. Those of us of a certain age often find that the knees get a little tender, sometimes a little sensitive. Send them some love. They have carried you many, many miles. And then let your hands rest on your lap, shoulders back. Can you take your right leg and bend the knee and bring it up? Bring it up and lace your fingers around that knee. You might not. You might just bring the knee up a little bit. But here's a good squeeze into your belly. Good. And then put that leg down and switch, picking up the left leg. It might feel like it weighs a lot, and give it a squeeze and draw your shoulders back. Big, big squeeze. Good job. And then put your foot down. Nice. Take your right leg, pick it up and cross it over your left. So you're sitting cross-legged. Nothing fancy, just cross-legged. Put your left hand on your knee, take the right hand to the side of your chair or behind you, and the whole body will take a spinal twist. So you draw back the right shoulder, you look over the right shoulder, you bring that hand on your knee and give it a little tug. And then as you do this, imagine again that connection of the crown of the head to the sky, so that when you twist, your spine is long. Good. and then come to the front and put your right hand on top of the left. And sitting for a moment, take a big breath in, exhale quietly, uncross your leg and do the other side. Pick up the left leg, cross it over. Sit comfortably. Put your right hand on your knee, bring your left hand to the side of your chair or by your own side, and then your whole body twists. As you look over your shoulder and out of the corners of your eyes, you can put your hand right down and hang on to something perhaps. And then slowly come back, and as you do, put your left hand on top of your right. Nice. Now, take your left foot, and if you can, put it on top of your knee. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Nope, you can't. But I'm sitting with my ankle on top of my knee, like that, and hold your knee with your left hand and your foot with the right. So we call this a figure 4, and then take a little forward fold. That's going to probably get into the hip, and you can growl if you want. Make some noise. Yeah, yeah. This was Catherine's dad's favorite posture. He used to really make some noise. He'd say, growl. Come up, come up, come up. Good. And then uncross that left foot down to the floor. Pick up the right if you can, and you're putting your ankle on top of your left thigh, just around the knee. And my hip on this side is a lot tighter, so my knee is up a lot higher. But I'm just going to hold the knee and hold my foot and take a little forward fold. Yes, and you can look down. And even little side-to-side movements can bring in some interesting sensation, and then come back up, and put your foot flat on the floor. Get comfortable in your chair. Shrug the shoulders up and back and down one more time. And then let your eyes close and your body settles. And anything that you've shaken up a bit, any squeeze, any release, not just from the external, but the internal as well. Your internal organs love those squeezes. This wonderful practice that accesses information in the body, the mind, and the heart. Another one of those wonderful breaths in, and those sweet sighs out. And then we'll come into a moment of stillness, the practice of meditation, often called mindfulness out in the world, which means that your meditation can be chopping carrots or doing the laundry or making your beds, anything that you pay attention to with great respect, taking time to be where you are and not rushing to what comes next. Be here now. Once again, that connection of the tapestry, that we are so much more than just individuals. And when it comes down to it, our own lives must be lived and felt and experienced to be able to have a sense of what is shaping our lives, our choices, and our decisions. We can read, we can study, we can gather knowledge. But there comes a point when we must move beyond the mind and into the wisdom of the heart, the place where intuition, creativity, and connection reside. And from that space, we can discover not only who we are, but how we are meant to create, connect, and move forward in the world. I found another poem that really made me smile. Walt Whitman. And I'd never seen this before. When I heard the learned astronomer is what it's called. I'll say that again. When I heard the learned astronomer. He said, When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and the diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I, sitting, heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon, unaccountable, I became tired and sick, till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself in the mystical, moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. And so perhaps we can create an intention for ourselves to now and again make that pause. Take a look around us and see that magic and wonder in the world, and know that we are such an important part, never separate, never alone. When you're ready, let your eyes open. Come on back.
Oh, Sheila. I always so love going through these yoga classes with you, and everybody should know that we have some classes online on Living Whole Online with Sheila, so you can spend time with her there too. Also, today is the blue moon, the full blue moon, which can encourage all of us to look up into the skies and at the stars. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a really, really nice one. And thank you all so much for being with us today. It's been wonderful to be together. Thank you to John Corey as our special guest. Thank you so much to Sheila Magalhaes. We hope you all have a great month, and we look forward to being with you again next month at the same time in your local time zone, wherever you are. That would be Sunday, June 28th. And again, as Catherine mentioned, if you're not on our mailing list but would like to be, please let me know. Just drop your email in the chat. I already got the ones listed. Thank you. And we will include you in those emails. We send one email per week, and you can unsubscribe at any time. So thank you all so much again. I will take a moment, and then feel free to sign off if you're ready. And if you want a moment to decompress, I will move you to the waiting room so you have that time on your own. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hope you have a lovely rest of the day.
I gotta get in there. There we go. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. Okay, now let me get the tech things done. Hold on.